Okay, hey there guys, so in this video we're going up against X-K9. I always get all those individual letters and numbers mixed up in my head, so we're gonna pray I got that right. So in this war, just as a fair warning, it's a lot of Quake. There's 2 non-Quake fights and 3 Quake fights, so it's about 50-50, but if you're watching Quake, it all feels like a slog. So I actually am using suicides for this war for Quake. I had suicides on for all off-season, and then I took them off to place, and I was like, hey, I'll put my Mystic Dispersion back in and stuff, and then I realized, oh, I'm running suicides this war, so I had to switch them back around. I'm going to have to take them off to place again. This is where war can get pretty expensive, but it really helps with a champion like Quake. Instead of taking off, so I basically, I mean, obviously it's a 60% attack increase, so it's 60% quicker. But when you're talking about Quake, right, usually with Quake you're doing, at most in war, like 10% per Aftershock thing, per Aftershock set, but with the suicides, I was taking off like 15 to 20%, which at that multiplier you're taking off an actual fair amount of, right, I'm taking off like 2 extra sets of Aftershock charges, or even more. It really speeds up the fight using your suicides. It makes her a lot better. And a big part of the reason why I wanted to use the suicides for this war with Quake was this Kingpin. I was originally assigned Apocalypse for this fight, and so if you notice the nose, this fight has Power Focus 2, and Kingpin is a global defender. So that means every 10 seconds he has a chance to gain an armor up buff, and there's a 30% chance every time he gains an armor up buff to go unstoppable. So it's like, okay. Then he has Power Focus 2, and his SP2 gives him an unstoppable. It's like, okay, this is a lot of potential power. And then my officer wanted me to take it with Apocalypse, which, the way Apocalypse and Kingpin interact, if you haven't ever used that, some people actually use it for Kingpin to take Apocalypse on defense, is you stack up your rages really high so you get a ton of attack and power gain against Apocalypse. But the same works on defense, where he would have a ton of power gain, so I was a little bit concerned. So I talked to my officer, and we agreed, and he was like, yeah, sure, if you want to Quake it, you can Quake it. I just felt a little bit more comfortable Quaking it. Right here, I needed to go buy a boost, and when I go to buy the boost, my internet crashes while buying a boost, I guess. So, like, during buying the boost, my internet just has the connection issue, so I have to turn off the app. I checked my Wi-Fi and stuff. It was fine. It logged back in perfectly, so I wasn't worried about disconnecting for this next fight. I had to boost a second time. There was really no way I could have done it in one boost. I had some stuff going on in the day, so my energy use wasn't as efficient as it could have been. If I was more efficient with it, it would have been better, obviously, but it wasn't too big of an issue, and I didn't end up switching suicides off for the war, which saved me a lot of units, because I wanted to use it for the final Quake fight I take, which is a mini-boss. So with this Hitmonkey here, I've taken this lane before with Apocalypse and with Nimrod and stuff. It's not too complicated of a lane, but I really underestimated one charge Apocalypse. So I normally bring Cable to war if I'm bringing Apocalypse, right? In off-season, I'll still bring Cable. In season, typically, I get to bring a Cable with me. So I put on the Mutant boost, and I was expecting to get like a ton of power, do a ton of damage. Then I was like, oh wait, I only put on 1 debuff? What the heck? I forgot about that. Like, I'm so used to using Apocalypse with 4 charges, it was just all so shocking. So I almost, like, gave him an SP2, which would have been unblockable. They would have, like, crit. I would have been bleed immune, so it would have been okay, probably, but it would have just been really, really annoying. And so now for this next fight, I wanted to put on an invulnerability boost because it's a white Magneto, and I should have just eaten the SP1 to the face because of the invulnerability boost, if I'm being like 100% honest. So I talked about this with some people, and I was like, will this work? It was with it was with someone in my alliance. It wasn't just like someone random that I talked this about with. So if I'm putting on Flame On, because I need to Flame On, or I was told to put Flame On for this fight because the mini bosses that I would have had to put it on were already down, and that wasn't a part of the plan to use Torch there, so I got to use it here, which is really nice. So because of that, I put on an Invul and I leave Suicides on. So Torch has a massive attack boost, but the Nova Flames aren't going to last as long currently because of the bleeds. And right there is what I'm talking about. I probably should have just like tanked the SP1 to the face, heal from the armor block and stuff. And almost all the damage I took in this fight was honestly from suicides and recoil, but it went pretty smooth. And so now it's the last fight I'm going to take in this war, which is a mini-boss with Quake. I've taken this mini-boss a ton in the past with Quake during, shoot, what was that global? I don't remember the global's name, but it was where everyone was placing, like, Bishop here. It was right after Bishop's buff. Everyone was placing Bishop here, and I would Quake this fight. Like, I Quaked it over half of the wars, I think. It was absolutely crazy. He was just there so many times, and my officer trusted me with Quake with it, I guess. I don't know. It's not a hard fight against Angela, really. You'll notice one thing goes wrong in this fight, though. Overall, for me, this war, I'd say this was a pretty solid war. There wasn't really, like, looking at the gameplay, there's not really any, like, massive error where I'm like, oh, shoot, I took 3 combos from Spider-Ham, I parried Storm X against Disorient or something like that. There wasn't anything like that in this war, so it's always a good thing when I get that. I'm recording this the night before the war is over. I'll show the current score, but like tomorrow afternoon or something, tomorrow evening, I'll try to post the final score in the comments. So if you do want to know like the final score of the war, if you're interested in that, check the comments in a little while, I guess, depending on when you watch this. And so if you notice when I got hit right here, you couldn't quite see because of the fast forward. My like screen just like stopped for like a split second, so there was like crazy lag for a second, so I got hit. But the Angela fight was pretty easy. Again, all the fights I think went pretty well. I felt good after this war. Hopefully that keeps up for the rest of the season. Have a good season, right? I hope you guys have a really good season this time. This is the current score. They're a bit ahead. They're a lot ahead in exploration, but they're also a fair bit ahead in deaths. Hopefully, when I wake up tomorrow morning, we have that W, and we're off to a good start this season. It would be a really nice start to get a good win against this alliance. They've been pretty good in the past couple seasons, so it's a nice way to start the season. Hope you guys have a good Alliance War season this time. Good luck on the rewards at the end. Bye.